Ayatollah Khomeini has ordered a direct retaliatory attack on Israel. How worried should we be about this, as well as worried about a potential attack on America?
He has no respect for Biden. He had a lot of respect for me. We had no attacks. We had nothing. We never had an attack. The only little attack was on a fort. And they called me to say, we are going to be shooting some missiles at a fort. Please tell everyone to stay in place. We will not hit the fort. You remember that. They shot 18 missiles. 6 of them disassembled in air. 12 of them landed exactly as they said, outside the fort. And nobody was injured in the true sense of the word, okay?
Are you worried about this retaliatory order against Israel?
Yeah, I'm worried about the people we have in office are grossly incompetent. I'm worried about World War III before I get there.
What about...
And we will not have World War III if I'm there. And
there
World
are threats
War
on you right now, right? I mean, we just heard more details about Iran reportedly plotting to assassinate you.
So I put out a word that if they do that, you have to blow them off the face of the earth, because you can't do that. You have to blow them right off the face of the earth. And I said that. I put it out on Truth 2 days ago. I said, because there was a report to that effect, and it could very well be true. And I said, if that happens, you have to blow that country off the face of the earth, because that'll be a whole new world order. The problem we have is nobody respects Biden and nobody respects Kamala. It's a big problem.
Yeah. You said at the debate and the RNC, you said, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, or you will pay a very, very big price. What did you mean about a big price?
They know what I mean. But it looks like Biden's going to make a deal because he's giving away so much, so much. I mean, we're putting out people that nobody thought would ever be released again. This deal that was made today, I think it's wonderful that Evan's coming back. I think it's great. But these deals are so bad. These deals are going to lead to tremendous kidnappings, and people are going to be brought in. Every time somebody gets brought in, they say, we have a hostage, we want $2 billion. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. And once you agree to do it, which he has agreed all the time, it's only going to get worse. It's a terrible precedent.
Are you going to address the 50,000 Chinese nationals that have come into this country through
I'm going to
southern
address
border?
everything. We're going to have a safe country.
Why are they here?
We're not going to, because they don't respect our leadership. Why did they send the balloon over America? They never did that with me. They would have never done it with me.
But I'm wondering what the plan is. I mean,
and the worst thing is,
unrest?
What these people do is disinformation. And I just see it today.
Right.
They said 2 weeks ago, well, maybe there was a balloon sent over during the Trump administration. There wasn't. Okay, now that was found out there wasn't. But what they're doing is they're saying, we had a strong border. They had the worst border in the history of the world. There's never been a border like this, any country. But they figure if they keep saying it and saying it, they'll say all sorts of things. Look, they're not respected. It's like amateur night. Amateur night. Look at this hostage deal. And it's so complicated that nobody understands it. And that's the way they want it to be, because it's such a bad deal. But I'm glad our hostages are back.
Mr. President, I really want to focus on policy in this interview, because I want to make sure people understand what your policy is. Okay. And with regard to the military, there was a report today that the military has been so depleted that if there were ever a conflict between China and the United States, the U.S. would lose. A global conflict during World War II ended nearly 80 years ago. The nation was last prepared for such a fight during the Cold War, 35 years ago. And this commission finds that in many ways, China is in fact outpacing the United States and has largely negated the U.S. military advantage in the Western Pacific. How can you change that?
Can you imagine having a commission of military officers and other things say anything like that, even if it's true? Why would you ever release a report like that? It puts us in such a bad position and a bad light. But people want to, we have a great military. I've proved that with ISIS. I knocked them out in 4 weeks. They were supposed to be, it was going to take 5 years if I listened to these generals from Washington that are on television, like Milley. It was almost an impossible thing. We knocked them out in 4 weeks. Look, we have woke people on the top, but the military is not woke. The military is incredible. If you look at the job they did for me on ISIS, it was unbelievable. It was surgical. We have the greatest military. But can you imagine somebody writing a report like that it's so bad, and then releasing it for the world to see. That's a very bad report.
This is the National Defense Strategy recognizes these nations as top threats to the United States and declares China to be the pacing challenge right now.
Yeah, but when they write a report saying we can't beat China, I think it's a very negative thing. It's one thing to have a meeting and saying that we got to get our act together. You know, I rebuilt our military, largely rebuilt. We had
you need to do it again.
We had jets that are 50 years old. Well, we gave $85 billion of it to Afghanistan. How about that? $85 billion we gave. Do you know that Afghanistan is one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world? They're selling the equipment that we gave them when this really low IQ president pulled out, and he pulled out the military first.
Are you going to
He pulled out, think of that. He pulled out the military. That's why we had 13 dead soldiers, but we also had 45 soldiers who were no legs, no arms, the face, the whole thing. And we also have, you know, we still have Americans left behind in Afghanistan, right? I mean, and we gave up Bagram, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it up. It was almost like we fled. That was the most incompetent act. I think it was the lowest point in the history of our country. So Bagram is 1 hour away from where China makes their nuclear weapons. We gave it up. And you know who occupies it now? China.